small pieces of information, bit by bit, because people today are too stupid. They rapidly forget. If you know anything about history, this story will make you laugh. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy said Monday that opponents of stricter gun laws will probably be remembered by history the same way those who opposed desegregation are remembered today. Murphy said, let's look at the context of nullification. Nullification was last used by southern states to try to eviscerate civil rights legislation, to try to prevent states from basically enforcing desegregation, and frankly, I think history will look back on this round of nullification as kindly as it did on the last round. Listen here.
Look at the context of nullification. Nullification was last used by southern states to try to eviscerate civil rights legislation, to try to prevent states from basically enforcing desegregation. And frankly, I think history will look back on this round of nullification about as kindly as it did on the last round.
Senator Murphy isn't the first person to tie the gun control debate to segregation. Tom Brokaw in January compared those not taking a stronger stand on guns to those who silently opposed segregation. In the 1960s, Brokaw said, it reminds me a lot of what happened in the South in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. Good people stayed in their houses and didn't speak up when there was carnage in the streets and the total violation of the fundamental rights of African Americans as they marched in Selma. And they let Bull Connor and the redneck elements of the South and the Klan take over their culture, in effect, and become a face of it. Listen here.
Well, it reminds me a lot of what happened in the South in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. Good people stayed in their houses and didn't speak up when there was carnage in the streets and the total violation of the fundamental rights of African Americans as they marched in Selma, and they let Bull Connor and the redneck elements of the South and the Klan take over their culture, in effect, and become the face of it.
This is where the humor is. If you know history, then you know the hypocrisy of Democrats. For a Democratic senator to make his comments and try and imply that civil rights legislation was opposed by Republican-leaning people, he is a flat-out, complete liar. For Brokaw to make the same implications and also call into reference the KKK also makes him a complete liar that is trying to twist history. We all know that the Democratic Party founded the KKK. Let the truth be told. The only ones during the Civil Rights Movement and in the 1960s who were opposing, both silently and openly, were Democrats. So, were these two Democrats openly condemning Democrats? No. They are trying to rewrite history and implicate Republicans for what they are guilty of. Brokaw is old enough to remember, therefore, he is a complete fraud and a liar. Let's look at history. Little-known fact of history involves the heavy opposition to the Civil Rights Movement by Democrats. Similar historical neglect is given to the important role Republicans played in supporting the Civil Rights Movement. A calculation of 26 major civil rights votes from 1933 through the 1960s civil rights era shows that Republicans favored civil rights in approximately 96% of the votes, whereas the Democrats opposed them in 80% of the votes. These facts are often intentionally overlooked by the left-wing Democrats for obvious reasons. In some cases, the Democrats have told flat-out lies about their shameful record during the Civil Rights Movement. Democrat senators organized the record Senate filibuster of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Included among the organizers were several prominent and well-known liberal Democrat standard-bearers including Robert Byrd, senator from West Virginia; J. William Fulbright, Arkansas senator and political mentor of Bill Clinton; Albert Gore Sr., Tennessee senator, father and political mentor of Al Gore. Gore Jr. has been known to lie about his father's opposition to the Civil Rights Act. For Al Gore to speak in front of the NAACP and say, "It's great to be home," as a punch in the face of the historically ignorant blacks who believed his comments. Sam Ervin, North Carolina senator of Watergate hearings fame; Richard Russell, famed Georgia senator and later president pro tempore. The complete list of the 21 Democrats who opposed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 includes Senators Hill and Sparkman of Alabama, Fulbright and McClellan of Arkansas, Holland and Smathers of Florida, Russell and Talmadge of Georgia, Ellender and Long of Louisiana, Eastland and Stennis of Mississippi, Irvin and Jordan of North Carolina, Johnston and Thurmond of South Carolina, Gore Sr. and Walters of Tennessee, H. Byrd and Robertson of Virginia, R. Byrd of West Virginia. Democrat opposition to the Civil Rights Act was substantial and is continually hidden by the left-wing media, with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was supported by 82% of House Republicans and 94% of Senate Republicans. The same Democrat standard-bearers took their normal racist stances, this time with Senator Fulbright leading the opposition effort. It took the hard work of Republican Senate Minority Leader Everett Dirksen and Republican Whip Thomas Kuchel to pass the Civil Rights Act. Dirksen was presented a Civil Rights Accomplishment Award for the year by the head of the NAACP in recognition of his efforts. Upon breaking the Democrat filibuster of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Republican Dirksen took to the Senate floor and exclaimed, "The time has come for equality of opportunity and sharing in government, in education, and in employment. It will not be stayed or denied. It is here." Sadly, Democrats, revisionist historians, the left-wing media, and liberal educators have all but forgotten, and intentionally so, that it was Republican Dirksen, not the Democrats, who made the Civil Rights Act a reality. Dirksen also broke the Democrat filibuster of the 1957 Civil Rights Act that was signed by Republican President Eisenhower. Outside of Congress, the three most famous opponents of school integration were all Democrats. Orville Faubus, Democrat governor of Arkansas and one of Bill Clinton's political heroes. George Wallace, Democrat governor of Alabama. Lester Maddox, Democrat governor of Georgia. The most famous of the school desegregation standoffs involved Governor Faubus. Democrat Faubus used police and state forces to block the integration of a high school in Little Rock, Arkansas. The standoff was settled and the school was integrated only after Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower ordered the 101st Airborne Division of the United States Army to Little Rock and federalized the entire 10,000-member Arkansas National Guard. Taking desegregation out of the hands of Faubus, it took a Republican, using military force, to ensure the rights of minorities over the Democratic Party opposition, just like it took a Republican, using military force, to free the slaves. Now you know some of the hypocrisy of Democrats. You now know the partial truth about the Democratic Party. Spread the word. Stop falling for their cover-ups and lies. They always talk a good game. They always twist history. They always make promises to minorities, but are actually the guilty ones. P.S. If you didn't know that the Democrats founded the KKK, it is documented in another video. Don't believe it, look it up.